Lisa Carter's calm exterior hid a chilling secret, and her children, four lost to a shocking act of violence, left the neighborhood asking one terrifying question: where is her fifth child, Ethan? Lisa Carter seemed like the picture of a perfect mother. At 32, she lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood with her 5 children, a modest house, and a manicured lawn that gave the illusion of calm and order. Neighbors often admired how she managed her household, juggling school runs, grocery shopping, and extracurricular activities with apparent ease. On the surface, Lisa was friendly, polite, and always ready to offer a smile or a helping hand. Children played in the yard under her watchful eye, and the community believed they were witnessing a loving family thriving in harmony. But appearances can be deceiving. Behind closed doors, Lisa carried burdens and secrets that she carefully hid from the world. She battled anxiety and dark thoughts, often feeling trapped in the chaos of her own life. There were moments when she would stare blankly at the walls, lost in thought, her mind racing with fears she never voiced. While neighbors occasionally noticed her temper flare or her withdrawn behavior, it was dismissed as stress, fatigue, or the struggles of raising 5 children. No one imagined the danger that simmered beneath her composed exterior. One ordinary morning, the quiet streets of the suburb were shattered by an overwhelming sight. Police cars and flashing lights surrounded Lisa's home. The neighbors, once filled with admiration, were frozen with shock and confusion. Inside the house, tragedy had struck in a way no one could have predicted. 4 of Lisa's children had been shot, a scene of unimaginable horror that turned the cozy home into a crime scene. The news spread quickly, and whispers of disbelief filled the neighborhood. People questioned how a mother, someone they trusted and respected, could commit such a violent act against her own children. Amid the chaos, one critical detail worsened the terror. Lisa's 5th child, 6-year-old Ethan, was missing. His bed remained unmade, toys scattered but untouched, and no sign indicated he had left the house voluntarily. The uncertainty of his whereabouts cast a long shadow over the tragedy. Had he been taken, hidden, or worse? Detectives arrived swiftly, trying to piece together the unimaginable puzzle, while neighbors watched in disbelief, struggling to reconcile the mother they knew with the nightmare that had unfolded. Lisa's home, once a symbol of safety and routine, had become a chilling mystery that nobody could explain. And the missing child added a haunting question that would drive the investigation in the days to come. Detectives arrived at the Carter residence to a scene that no one in the quiet neighborhood could have imagined. The house was eerily silent, the kind of silence that makes every creak and shadow feel threatening. Inside, the living room was a chaotic mix of terror and innocence. Bullet holes stained the walls, chairs were overturned, and children's toys lay scattered as if a normal morning had suddenly turned into a nightmare. Forensic teams worked carefully, documenting every detail with precision. Every corner of the house held clues, but the puzzle seemed impossible to solve at first glance. The weapon used in the shootings was recovered, resting near a blood-stained rug. Initial reports confirmed that only Lisa's fingerprints were on it. Investigators began to piece together the timeline of events, trying to determine whether this horrific act had been sudden or planned. Each small discovery deepened the sense of unease. There were no signs of forced entry, and nothing indicated an intruder. The implication was terrifying. The violence had come from inside the house, from the one person who was supposed to protect these children. Neighbors and extended family were questioned. Some recounted recent behavior that had seemed odd or unsettling. Lisa had been increasingly withdrawn, and a few people mentioned her obsession with survivalist videos and online content warning about threats in the outside world. She had spoken vaguely about keeping her family safe without ever explaining exactly what she meant. Every recollection added layers to a picture that was already disturbing. Investigators began to suspect that this was not a random act of violence, but something far more deliberate, a chilling blend of fear, control, and premeditation. Meanwhile, search teams scoured the property for Ethan. His absence hung over the investigation like a shadow. His room was untouched, as if he had disappeared in the middle of the night, leaving no sign that he had willingly left. Officers combed the neighborhood, checking every possible location: parks, abandoned buildings, even nearby forests, but nothing suggested where he could be. Every hour that passed without finding him increased the urgency and tension. The thought that one child might still be in danger gnawed at the hearts of the detectives, and the community's anxiety grew with each unanswered question. As the investigation progressed, it became clear that this case would challenge every assumption about trust, family, and safety. The world that neighbors had believed they knew was unraveling, revealing a hidden darkness behind Lisa Carter's seemingly ordinary life. The search for answers had only just begun, and the fate of the missing child remained the most haunting mystery of all. As detectives delved deeper into Lisa Carter's life, they began uncovering layers of secrets that no one in the neighborhood had suspected. From the outside, she had appeared to be the perfect mother, but her past told a different story. Reports from previous landlords painted a picture of instability, describing her as temperamental and withdrawn, prone to sudden bursts of anger. Social media accounts, once full of cheerful family photos, revealed an obsession with control, routines, and online communities warning of unseen dangers. Each post, each comment, seemed to hint at a growing paranoia that few had noticed until it was too late. Financial records revealed unusual patterns. Weeks before the shootings, large withdrawals had been made from Lisa's accounts, with no clear explanation. Some purchases were innocuous groceries, household items, but others were more suspicious, including equipment and supplies that seemed out of place. Investigators began piecing together a timeline, wondering if Lisa had been planning something far beyond what anyone could imagine. Every new discovery raised more questions than answers. Even more chilling were the accounts from friends and distant relatives. Some remembered that Lisa often spoke in cryptic terms about protecting her family from the world or keeping them safe at all costs. At the time, these statements seemed strange but harmless. Now, in the shadow of the shootings, they took on a sinister meaning. Investigators started to see a pattern. Lisa's actions were not merely the result of a sudden breakdown. They hinted at months, perhaps years, of escalating fear, obsession, and meticulous preparation. The mystery of Ethan's disappearance became even more urgent. Every lead seemed to hit a dead end, but detectives refused to give up. They expanded their search beyond the immediate neighborhood, checking storage facilities, local parks, and abandoned buildings. Interviews with neighbors who had seen Lisa in recent weeks provided small but important clues. Surveillance footage showed her making frequent trips to areas outside town, carrying what appeared to be bags packed with supplies. Each discovery added a layer of dread, suggesting that Ethan had been moved intentionally, perhaps kept hidden in a place only Lisa knew. As the investigation continued, the image of Lisa Carter grew more complex and frightening. The friendly, organized mother everyone knew had been concealing a dark, calculating side. The quiet suburban streets that once felt safe were now tainted with fear, and the police faced the chilling reality that this case was far from ordinary. With 4 children already dead and 1 still missing, the world watched as the search for answers stretched into a web of secrets, lies, and terrifying possibilities. Weeks into the investigation, a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A neighbor reported seeing Lisa leaving the house late at night, carrying a small backpack. At the time, it seemed strange but not alarming. Now, in light of the tragedy, it was a chilling clue. Detectives reviewed surveillance footage from nearby streets and gas stations. The images showed her walking with purpose toward the outskirts of town, traveling through deserted areas where few people ventured. Each frame added tension, hinting at a hidden plan that no one had anticipated. Following this lead, officers discovered a storage unit registered under Lisa's name. Inside, the scene was unnerving in its quiet organization. Shelves were lined with neatly packed boxes, labeled meticulously. Supplies of water, blankets, and food were arranged with precision. Among them were items marked with Ethan's name: clothing, toys, and everyday essentials. It was clear that Lisa had been preparing for something beyond normal parenting, a place where she had intentionally kept her 5th child away from the world. The realization that Ethan had been alive yet isolated sent chills through the investigators. Forensic analysis and psychological experts began studying Lisa's patterns. The meticulous nature of the storage unit suggested she had been planning for months, perhaps even years, balancing a distorted sense of protection with an escalating paranoia. Every step she had taken was calculated: the timing of her movements, the supplies she gathered, the secrecy she maintained. It became evident that this was not a spontaneous act of violence, but a carefully orchestrated plan, combining her fears with an obsession over control. The more detectives uncovered, the more disturbing the story became. Friends and neighbors were left grappling with the shocking contrast between the woman they thought they knew and the one who had committed unimaginable acts. Every discovery about Lisa's planning, from financial withdrawals to hidden storage units, painted a portrait of a mother whose love had warped into a dangerous fixation. The house that had once been a sanctuary had become a prison for her children, and Ethan's survival was proof of her twisted control. As the pieces came together, the investigators faced the most pressing question of all. What would they find when they finally reached Ethan? The suspense was unbearable, the mystery almost too heavy to bear. With the hidden storage unit revealing a calculated plan, it was clear that Lisa's story had layers yet to unfold. And the final confrontation with the missing child would reveal the full extent of her shocking actions. After weeks of tireless searching and following countless leads, the investigation reached a critical turning point. Police, acting on the tip about Lisa's late-night movements and the discovery of the hidden storage unit, expanded their search to a remote area outside town. The terrain was rugged, covered in thick woods and abandoned cabins. Every step of the way, officers feared what they might find, knowing that time was crucial for the safety of the missing child. In one of the secluded cabins, behind a locked door that had been carefully concealed, they finally found Ethan. He was alive, though visibly shaken, having spent days alone in isolation. The room contained basic necessities: a small bed, a few toys, and supplies that matched the items found in the storage unit. It became clear that Lisa had intended to keep him hidden for an extended period. Ethan had survived through a mixture of her preparation and his own resilience, but the psychological toll of isolation was evident in his wide, fearful eyes and quiet demeanor. Lisa was arrested at the scene without resistance. As investigators pieced together the final events, a chilling portrait of her mindset emerged. The shootings of the other 4 children had been deliberate, a horrifying act that combined fear, obsession, and a twisted sense of protection. Meanwhile, Ethan had been spared not out of mercy, but as part of a plan that only she understood. Experts later speculated that she may have seen him as a controlled experiment, someone she could still shape and influence while the others were gone. The complexity of her motives left detectives grappling with questions that had no simple answers. News of Ethan's survival spread quickly, shocking the nation. The case sparked debates about mental health, parenting, and the warning signs that could have prevented such tragedy. Neighbors who once admired Lisa were left in disbelief, struggling to reconcile the friendly, organized woman they knew with the mother who had committed unimaginable violence. Psychologists described her behavior as a disturbing mix of premeditated control and deep-seated paranoia, a combination that made her actions both calculated and terrifying. Ethan's recovery began slowly, under the care of specialists and a new support system that prioritized his safety and emotional healing. The story of Lisa Carter left a haunting mark on the community, a reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and that darkness sometimes hides behind the most ordinary faces. 4 children were lost, 1 child survived, and a neighborhood would never look at perfect families the same way again. The case closed with lingering questions, a chilling narrative of survival, and a warning about the hidden dangers that can exist even in the most familiar places.